Ever get that feeling before a big game, wondering deep down which way it's going to go?
Oh, yeah. All the time.
Well, today we're doing more than just wondering. We're diving into a fascinating piece of analysis that uses some serious brain power, cutting-edge AI to predict the outcome of an upcoming MLS showdown.
Sporting Kansas City versus LA Galaxy, May 4th, 2025.
Exactly.
And what we have here isn't just like someone's hunch or gut feeling.
No.
It's a detailed report from SmartBet AI. This system, well, it crunches a massive amount of data to give us what they call a probabilistic forecast for this specific match.
So think of it as a sneak peek behind the curtain of sports prediction using complex stats and machine learning.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
This is basically your express route to understanding the key factors at play in this game and, seeing just how powerful these predictive tools are becoming in sports.
Definitely.
So whether you live and breathe MLS or maybe you're just planning a casual watch party.
Or just curious about data science in sports.
Yeah, exactly. This deep dive is going to give you some, real food for thought.
And at the heart of this analysis, there's a whole range of information the AI digests. We're talking historical stuff.
To match results.
Years of them. Plus, sophisticated ways of measuring how strong each team is right now.
Team strength metrics.
And the ever-important issue of player availability.
Yeah.
Injuries, basically.
That was a factor.
And even what the betting markets are saying through their odds.
Okay, so it pulls all that in.
Yeah, we're going to explore how all these pieces of the puzzle fit together to create the AI's predictions.
So our mission today is pretty simple, really.
Yeah.
To understand what the SmartBet AI is telling us about the likely outcome of the Sporting KC versus LA Galaxy game.
You get a feel for the methods behind it.
Exactly. Get a grasp of the methodologies. Okay, let's get into it.
Right. First off, let's set the scene for this matchup.
Okay.
It's Sporting Kansas City hosting LA Galaxy, May 4th, 2025.
At Children's Mercy Park.
Yep, in Casey. And the report even gives us a little weather forecast for that evening. Looks like temps around 52 Fahrenheit.
Okay, so kind of cool.
Yeah, but feeling a touch warmer. Real feel 54. Mainly clear skies, light wind.
So sounds like pretty decent conditions for soccer. The weather shouldn't be a huge factor.
Doesn't look like it.
Good to know that won't be a wild card. Now, something that definitely can shake things up, injuries.
Oh, absolutely.
And the report details some key players who are going to be missing.
Yes, this is crucial. For Sporting Kansas City, they'll be without Jake Davis, hamstring issue. He's out.
Okay.
Joaquin Fernandez, also a hamstring injury, also out.
Another one.
And Danny Rosero has a quad injury keeping him off the pitch. So he's out too.
Wow, that's 3 important players unavailable for the home team.
It's significant, yeah.
And what about LA Galaxy? They haven't escaped completely, have they?
No, they've got a big loss too. They'll be missing a very influential player, midfielder Ricky Puig.
Ah, Puigs. Yeah, he's key.
Out with a knee injury. His absence, well, it'll undoubtedly have an impact on their lineup, their strategy.
You have to think so.
And it's vital to see how the AI factors these absences in. They can really shift those predictive probabilities we're about to talk about.
Absolutely. Okay, so we keep mentioning the SmartBet AI. Can you unpack that a bit more? What exactly is it? What's going on under the hood?
Sure. So SmartBet AI, this version is tailored for MLS. It's essentially a prediction machine.
Okay.
Designed to give us the likelihood of different outcomes for MLS games. What's really interesting is its approach. It uses a mix, a hybrid approach.
Hybrid? How so?
It combines statistical techniques with machine learning. It uses something called Poisson regression.
Poisson, okay.
To estimate how many goals each team might score. And then it uses several different machine learning models to predict the overall result.
Like home win, draw, away win.
Exactly. And these models include things like random forest, XGBoost.
XGBoost, that's extreme gradient boosting.
That's the one. And also an MLP, which stands for multi-layer perceptron. That's a type of neural network, kind of a more advanced AI.
So it's not just relying on one method. It's like getting opinions from a few different data-driven experts.
Precisely. That's a great analogy. The system has several key parts working together.
Yeah.
You've got these bootstrapped Poisson models for the goal estimates.
Bootstrap.
Yeah, it's a way to handle uncertainty. So the estimates come with a range, a confidence interval, showing the possibilities.
Gotcha.
Then it runs thousands of simulated matches.
The Monte Carlo simulations.
Right. Based on those goal predictions to give us a sense of the most likely scores.
Okay, that sounds pretty sophisticated. Now, the report also mentions ELO ratings.
Ah, yes.
For those of us maybe not familiar, what are ELO ratings and why do they matter here?
Okay, think of ELO ratings in MLS as like a dynamic report card for each team.
Constantly updated.
Exactly, based on their performance. It's a way to measure a team's current strength using data. It actually came from chess rankings originally.
Oh, interesting.
But now it's pretty standard in sports analytics. Every team starts with a baseline rating, often around 1,500 points,
Okay.
and then they gain or lose points after each match.
Based on the result.
Yes, but crucially, the number of points gained or lost also depends on the ELO rating of their opponent.
Ah, so beating a strong team gets you more points.
Exactly. And losing to a weaker team costs you more points.
It
It reflects the quality of the opposition.
makes sense.
And the system also uses something called a K factor, which kind of determines how much one result swings the rating. Recent games often matter more.
Right.
And importantly, the SmartBet AI uses ELO ratings that are adjusted for those injuries we talked about.
Ah, so it factors in who's missing.
Yes. For this specific match, Sporting Kansas City's ELO is 1,457.48.
Okay.
LA Galaxy's is higher, 1,518.05.
So based purely on ELO, the AI sees the Galaxy as the slightly stronger team going in.
Correct. That's the baseline strength reading, adjusted for injuries.
That makes sense as a starting point. Now let's circle back to predicting the goals. You mentioned Poisson regression. What's the basic idea there?
Right. Poisson regression, it's a statistical method that's, well, it's specifically designed for predicting counts, how many times something might happen.
Like goals in a soccer match.
Exactly.
Mhm.
For MLS predictions, it's really useful for estimating the expected goals for each team. It looks at various factors.
What kind of factors?
Things like recent form attacking, defensive form, home advantage, even the betting odds,
Okay.
the impact of injuries, obviously, and those ELO ratings we just discussed.
So it pulls all that together.
The model basically assumes goals happen kind of randomly, but at a certain average rate. And it tries to predict that rate based on all this data from past games and these factors.
And it gives probabilities for different goal counts, too.
Yes, not just the most likely number, but the chances of scoring 0, 1, 2, etc.
Okay, so based on all that, what does the Poisson model predict for this game? Sporting KC versus LA Galaxy. How many goals are we likely to see?
According to the report, the prediction is around 1.19 goals for Sporting Kansas City.
Okay, just over one.
And LA Galaxy are expected to score a bit more, around 1.49 goals.
So slightly higher for LA. That aligns with the ELO rating difference, suggesting the AI thinks they have a bit more attacking threat here.
It seems that way, yes.
But these are just averages, right? The most likely numbers. Football's unpredictable. How does the AI handle that uncertainty? One game could be 0-0, another 3-2.
Absolutely. And that's where the bootstrapped Poisson simulation comes in.
The bootstrapping again.
Yeah. To understand the range of possibilities, the AI runs, I think it was 1,000 simulations using those predicted goal rates.
So instead of just 1.1 neat for KC.
Right. For each simulation, it randomly draws a number of goals from a distribution centered around 1.19 for KC, and similarly for LA, around 1.49.
And doing that 1,000 times gives you a distribution.
Exactly. A whole distribution of potential goal outcomes. From these simulations, the AI calculates an average prediction, but maybe more importantly, it gives a 95% confidence interval, a range where the actual number of goals is likely to fall, 95 times out of 100, based on the model.
Okay, so what are those ranges?
For Sporting KC, the simulated average is 1.24 goals, with a range from 0.0 up to 4.0.
0 to 4.
And for LA Galaxy, the average is 1.52 goals, also with a range from 0.0 to 4.0.
So quite a wide range for both. That really highlights the variability, doesn't it? A clean sheet or a 4-goal haul are both possible, if unlikely at the extremes.
Precisely. It acknowledges the inherent randomness in the single match.
Okay. Now, the report also mentioned using different machine learning classifiers to predict the actual winner. Let's dig into those. First up was random forest.
Right, random forest.
What's the basic idea there, and what did it predict for this game?
Think of random forest as like building a whole committee of decision makers.
Okay.
It creates lots and lots of individual decision trees during its training phase. Each tree looks at a random part of the data, a random set of factors.
And makes its own prediction. Home win, draw, away win.
Exactly. Then for the final prediction, it's basically like taking a vote from all those trees. The most common outcome wins.
A wisdom of the crowd kind of thing.
Sort of, yeah, for trees. It's usually quite reliable and good at not overfitting the data it learned from.
And for this match, the random forest vote was
Home win. for Sporting Kansas City.
Interesting. Okay. And then there's XG boost, extreme gradient boosting. How's that different? And what did it say?
XGBoost is another really powerful method, also using decision trees, but it works differently.
How so?
Instead of building trees independently like random forest, it builds them one after another, sequentially.
Okay.
Each new tree specifically tries to fix the errors that the previous trees made. It's kind of like it learns from mistakes as it goes.
Improving step by step.
Yeah. This approach often lets XGBoost capture more complex patterns in the data. It can be very accurate.
And its prediction for SKC versus LA Galaxy?
Same as random forest. Home win for Sporting Kansas City.
Okay, so that's two models pointing towards a Kansas City victory at home.
Mhm.
But then the report mentions an MLP neural network. That sounds fancier.
It is a bit more complex, yeah. MLP stands for multi-layer perceptron.
Neural network. Like AI brain stuff.
Kinda. It's inspired by how the human brain is structured, with interconnected layers of neurons. These networks can learn very complex nonlinear relationships in the data.
So potentially picking up things the tree models miss.
That's the idea. The MLP used by SmartBet AI looks at a really wide variety of info, apparently even including detailed stats about individual players.
Okay, and the punchline. What did the MLP predict?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. The MLP neural network predicted an away win for LA Galaxy.
Oh. A disagreement.
A clear divergence, yeah. Suggests maybe it's weighing certain factors differently or picking up on subtleties the others didn't emphasize as much.
So we've got a split decision among the individual AI models. That's where the stacked ensemble comes in, right? To resolve this.
Exactly. The stacked ensemble prediction tries to do just that.
How does that work?
Yeah.
Stacking them up.
Basically, yeah. You take the predictions from your base models, in this case, Random Forest, XGBoost, and the MLP.
The ones that just gave us different answers.
Right. And you feed those predictions into another model, a meta model.
Okay, a model predicting based on other models' predictions.
You got it. This meta model learns, over time, which of the base models tend to be more accurate in different situations. It learns how to best combine their outputs for a final, hopefully more robust, prediction.
So it weighs their votes, essentially.
In a sophisticated way, yes. And for this Sporting KC versus LA Galaxy match, the final stacked ensemble prediction is a home win.
Back to home win. So the meta model sided with Random Forest and XGBoost.
It seems that way. It suggests that, in this specific case, the meta model found the patterns identified by the tree-based models more persuasive overall, despite the MLP's differing view.
Okay, interesting how it balances them. Now let's go back to those goal predictions and the Monte Carlo simulations you mentioned earlier.
Like the 10,000 simulated matches.
How do those simulations help us understand the most likely overall outcome? Not just the score, but win, draw, or loss.
So the Monte Carlo simulation takes those predicted goal rates from the Poisson regression, the 1.19 for KC, 1.49 for Galaxy.
Yeah.
And it just plays out the game 10,000 times on the computer. In each simulation, the number of goals each team scores is randomly determined based on those average rates.
So you get 10,000 different potential results.
Exactly. And by running so many, you get a really good picture of how often each scoreline occurs, and therefore the overall probabilities. What percentage end in a home win, a draw, or an away win, based purely on those goal-scoring expectations.
Okay, and what did these 10,000 simulated games tell us? What were the most likely outcomes?
Well, looking at specific scorelines, the single most probable result was a 1-1 draw. That came up almost 12% of the time.
1-1 draw, most likely single score. Okay, what next?
After that, the next most likely was 0-1, an away win for LA Galaxy, then 1-2, another away win, and then 0-2, again, Galaxy winning.
Huh. So the most common individual scores after the draw are all LA wins.
Seems that way based on the goal simulations. And when you look at the overall result probabilities from the Monte Carlo, it suggests a 30.33% chance of a home win for Sporting KC.
Okay, about 30%.
A 24.83% chance of a draw.
Just under 25%.
And the highest probability, 44.84%, for an away win for LA Galaxy.
Wow, okay. That's quite different from the stacked ensemble prediction of a home win.
It is.
So the individual classifiers, especially when stacked, lean towards a home win. But the simulation based purely on expected goals points quite strongly towards an away win being the most likely outcome, with a draw also pretty common.
Correct.
That seems like, well, a bit of a puzzle. How do we reconcile these slightly different signals from the AI?
Yeah, it's a key point. You have to remember each method is looking at the game through a slightly different lens, emphasizing different aspects of the data.
Okay.
The MLP, for example. Maybe it picked up subtle player-level things, favoring LA that the others didn't weigh as heavily. The stacked ensemble, by favoring the home win, suggests its meta-learner found the patterns from random forest and XGBoost more convincing overall for predicting the result, perhaps considering factors beyond just the raw expected goal counts.
Like maybe tactical matchups or something that tree models captured better?
Potentially. While the Monte Carlo simulation is purely driven by those Poisson goal rates, it's saying if goals arrive at these average rates, an away win happens most often.
So different parts of the AI are giving slightly different nuances.
Exactly. It highlights that prediction is complex, and combining different approaches can give a richer, though sometimes seemingly contradictory picture.
Okay, so let's try and synthesize this. To wrap it all up for the listener, what are the most important predictions to take away from this SmartBet AI deep dive for the Sporting KC versus LA Galaxy match?
Okay, the key takeaways I'd say are these. First, LA Galaxy comes in with the higher ELO rating, even after injury adjustments. So metric-wise, they're seen as slightly stronger.
Right. Higher ELO for LA.
Second, the Poisson regression predicts LA Galaxy will score slightly more goals, on average about 1.5 compared to KC's 1.2.
More expected goals for LA.
Got it. Third, the machine learning classifiers for the match result itself were mixed. 2 said home win, 1 said away win. But the stacked ensemble, combining them, ultimately predicted a home win for Sporting Kansas City.
Stacked ensemble says home win.
But fourth, the Monte Carlo simulation, based purely on those expected goals over 10,000 runs, suggests an away win is actually the most probable outcome overall.
About 45% chance for LA win in the simulation.
Yeah, compared to about 30% for a home win and 25% for a draw. And the most likely specific scores from that simulation were 1-1, then 0-1, 1-2.
So a bit conflicted, but leaning towards LA if you just look at the goal simulations.
It does seem that way from the Monte Carlo part. It points towards a tight match, maybe leaning slightly towards the visitors, or a draw. The ensemble model disagrees, leaning home. It suggests complexity.
So it sounds like, despite all the data, we're heading for a potentially tight, maybe even unpredictable match.
Doesn't it just? Which is classic soccer, really.
This has been a really fascinating look into how data science is being used to analyze and predict sports outcomes. It's complex stuff.
It really is.
Yeah.
And, crucially, you always have to remember these are probabilities. They're forecasts, not guarantees.
Not crystal balls.
Definitely not. The beauty of soccer, the beauty of sports, lies in that unpredictability.
Yeah.
Upsets happen, moments of magic happen.
Mm.
That's why we watch, right?
Absolutely. And on that note, here's something to chew on as you think about this game.
Okay.
Considering all this AI analysis, the ELO, the injuries, the different models, what do you think will be the single most decisive factor when the whistle actually blows? Will the impact of those KC injuries be the biggest story? Will it outweigh the ELO difference? Or could it just come down to one unexpected moment of brilliance or a mistake totally swinging the balance?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And this deep dive, it really gives us a glimpse into this, increasingly sophisticated world of sports analytics.
It does.
Makes you wonder, what other parts of the game could AI effectively analyze in the future? Player movements, tactical shifts in real time.
And how might teams use this kind of info, not just for prediction, but to gain a real competitive edge? Training, scouting.
The possibilities seem huge.
Some great questions to ponder as we look forward to seeing how Sporting KC versus LA Galaxy actually plays out. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive into the numbers and predictions.
My pleasure. Always interesting to see what the models say.